Hi! Welcome to ACCQ Continuing Professional Education. Pag-uusapan natin ngayon ang isang topic na maraming gustong makaalam, not only in the classroom discussion but also outside of it, sa aktual. Ika nga. So, ito yung tinatawag na capital gains tax. So, ito yung mga salient features dito at paano ba tayo makakabawas sa pagbayad ng capital gains. So, pag-uusapan natin to. Capital gains tax is derived from capital assets. Wala nga naman tayong capital gains tax kung walang capital assets. Kaya nga tinawag na capital gains kasi galing sa capital assets. Pero ano nga ba itong capital assets? Well, sa accounting, itong capital assets ito yung nandun sa equation, assets is equal to liabilities plus capital. Pero ito bang capital na ito na tinatawag, ito ba'y may kinalaman sa negosyo or sa business? As a concept, capital assets is, number one, property of the taxpayer not related to the business. And number two is that property that is related to the taxpayer's business but only held as investment. Ika nga, hindi siya related doon sa operations ng taxpayer. So what are the circumstances when a property can be considered or it is considered as a sale of property with capital gains tax? So there are two circumstances. Letter A is shares of stock of a domestic corporation not listed in the Philippine Stock Exchange or local stock exchange, not listed or traded in the local stock exchange, no? So in other words, hindi siya listed, hindi siya tinitrade doon sa loob ng PSC or a local stock exchange. So maaaring sa labas siya binenta. And yung pangalawa naman, or letter B, real property in the Philippines if the taxpayer is an individual. So kung kanya yung property na yun, hindi niya ginagamit sa business, no? Personal niya yun, no? Okay, so that would, the sale of it would constitute capital gains. But there are also exemptions for that, no? I will tell you the exemptions in a little while. Or real property regardless of the location if the taxpayer is a corporation. Well, there's a capital gains tax rate of letter A, 15% of the sale of the sale of shares of stock outside of the local stock exchange. That's 15% of the capital gain. Now, kasi isa pa sa gusto kong maklarify, no? Ang karaniwan kasing alam natin sa capital gains, ito yung sa property, yung sa real property lang, no? But there is also yung sale of shares of stock, no? Yun nga lang, itong sale of shares of stock, wala siya dun sa stock exchange, no? Yung baga outside of the stock exchange. So 15% of the gain. Yung pangalawa naman, letter B, is the conscious ako dito sa salamin ko, no? Yeah. So letter B is yung sa real property 6%. Okay, so 6% of the fair value or selling price of the real property, whichever is higher. So regardless whether the sale is a gain or loss. So mamaya papakita natin yung computation nito. There are also some rules in computing for the capital gains tax in each of the capital gains in the sale of shares of stocks outside of the local stock exchange and yung sale of real property. So as you can see in the matrix sa may bandang kaliwa, on a per transaction basis under capital gains tax on shares of stock. So letter A, the tax applies if there is a gain. Okay, and then letter B, the tax applies, the tax does not apply if there is a loss. So kung may loss, hindi applicable yung sale of shares of stock outside of the LSE or local stock exchange. And letter C, the tax on the capital gains is 15%. Dito naman sa capital gains on real property on a per transaction basis, you can see here that the tax applies if there is a gain. But it also applies even if there is a loss. So ang basis niyan is the selling price or fair market value on at the time of sale, whichever is higher. So that's 6%. Take note of that. And doon naman sa shares of stock, the capital gain shall not be included in the quarterly and year-end computations of the income tax. Yan. So dito naman sa real property, the capital gain shall not be included in the quarterly and year-end computation of income tax. So hindi rin sila parehong kasama doon sa pag-compute ng ITR. Okay, whether quarterly or year-end. So take note of that. And dun ulit sa shares of stock, the filing of return and payment of tax. So on a transaction with a gain that's within 30 days from the date of sale. So banda doon naman sa capital gains tax on real property, the filing of return and payment of tax, the tax is withheld by the buyer. So we're gonna have an example on this one. So first, let's take up yung capital gains on sale of shares of stock. So as we see here in the example, sale of property with capital gains tax. The first example is yung sa sale of shares of stock outside of the local stock exchange. So the capital assets are shares of stock of a domestic corporation not listed. So take note of this, no? Not listed and traded in the local stock exchange. So yung selling price niya, this one. So a company has 200,000 and yung cost niya is 120. So naibenta niya ng 200 pero ang cost niya is 120. So may tubo siya. Ito pa lang, kita mo na. Si B Corporation naman, selling price niya is 200 pero naibenta niya pero yung cost niya is 230. Okay, so medyo lugi. So compute natin, no? So letter A, what is the capital gains tax or CGT abbreviation on the sale of company shares? So ganito lang yan. Madali lang yan, no? Okay, so A company, lagay natin dito. Okay. A company and B company. Yan. Okay. Tagal-tagal ko na rin hindi nagagamit tong whiteboard. So lagay kunin natin to selling price of yung dito is 200,000. Yan. Okay. And this one is pareho silang 200,000 yung selling price nila. Pero yung less cost. Okay, less cost, this is 120,000 and this is 230,000. Ayan. Okay. So kunin natin yung yung gain. This is either the gain or a loss. Okay, so dito 80,000. So meron siya. I made gain. And dito naman merong 30,000 na loss. Yan. So malalaman natin ngayon dito kung ano yung kung sino yung tataksa natin. Of course, yung meron lang gain. So yung gain dito, so dito kay kay letter A, yung capital gains tax niya. Okay? So this is 80,000. Multiply this by 15%. So that would be yan yung magiging tax niya. So this would be 12,000. Yan, ito yung babayaran niya sa gobyerno. Ito naman kay yung kay kumabayaran. Of course, babayaran naman. Okay. Ito naman kay B. So, this is A. This is B. Yan. Okay. So, magkano yan? So, of course, 30,000. So, 0. Yan. Compute pa, no? Okay. So, later on, we're going to compute yung isa naman. Yung isa sa mga sa real estate naman. Now, let's take up this example. Ito naman sa sale of property. So, real properties. Marami yung binenta. Dalawa. More than one. In the Philippines, held as capital asset. So, meron siya ng June 5 na transaction. The cost is 1 million. Fair market value. The time of sale is 2.5 million. And the selling price is 1.5 million. So, there is a gain of 500,000. Paano na-compute yun? Pamalay ko, no? Binabasa ko lang to. Hindi, ganito yan, no? Selling price, 1.5 million less yung cost. Yan. Okay, so that's 500,000. Tapos dito naman sa June 6, ito yung cost niya is 1.5 million, tapos yung fair market value at the time of sale is 900,000, and then the selling price is 1 million. So may loss siya kasi mas maliit yung selling price niya kaysa dun sa cost. However, hindi yan yung magiging basis ng regardless of whether there's a gain or a loss, no? Magbabayad pa rin ng capital gains. So, base dito sa fair market value or the selling price, whichever is higher dito sa June 5 transaction. So, dito, under June 5 transaction, okay, so the fair market value is higher. Fair market value is higher. So, ito yung gagamitin natin. So, 2,500,000 multiply this by 6%. So, this is the basis of your capital gains tax. No? So, the fair market value here is higher than the selling price as far as the June 5 transaction is concerned. So, 2.5 million or 2,500,000 times 6%. So, ito yung magiging basis niya. So, 2,500,000 times 0.06. Compute. That would be 150,000. Yeah. So, this is the capital gains tax. CGT. Pwede ba CGT na lang, no? Yan. Okay. So, dito naman sa June 6 transaction. So, June 6 transaction, fair market value niya is lower than the selling price. Therefore, selling price is higher. So, ito yung gagamitin natin para sa June 6 transaction. So, this is 1 million times 6%. This would be the capital gains, which is, ako na bahala dyan. So, this is about 6 million. 6 million. 60,000. Yan. 60,000 lang. Sus, kinabahan naman ako doon. So, this is the capital gains tax for the second transaction, 60,000 lang. Now, we're going to do some variations of this one, no? Ito, alam ko maraming gusto magtanong dito eh. Single pa po daw ba ako? Capital gains tax on principal residence. Ito yung isa sa mga maraming gusto magtanong about yung capital gains tax on the principal residence. Kasi may mga nagbebenta ng bahay or may nagbebenta ng property na hindi naman, walang kinalaman dun sa business nila, no? Or business operations, no? Pero yung bang personal property na, o sila yung nakalista dun sa RD, no? Or Register of Deeds. Kung gusto nila ibenta, naisipan na ibenta, no? So, paano yung mga requisites doon sa, as well as yung tinatawag na mga remedies. Yan. So, when the sale of a real property is subject to the capital gains tax, but there was investment of the proceeds of the sale under the conditions stated, there is a full or partial exemption from the capital gains tax. So, letter A, the capital gain tax is from the sale or disposition of a principal residence of a natural person. Yan. So, kailangan galing dun sa individual, no? Yung para merong exemption ito. Or merong full or partial exemption. So hindi, in other words, hindi pwede yung corporation. Letter B is the proceeds of this sale were used in acquiring a new principal residence. So in other words, dito kailangan mabili mo yung proceeds na yon. Hangga't maaari yung buong proceeds na yon para para mag-acquire ng isa pang resident. Okay, isa pang yung bang titirahan, no? Okay, so pwede ka ma-exempt doon. And utilization is within 18 months from the date or disposition. So within 18 months, so pag naibenta mo after the sale, so counting from that yung consummation ng sale na yon, then within 18 months kailangan magamit mo yun sa pag-acquire ng bagong property para ma-exempt ka doon sa capital gains tax. And letter D, the Commissioner of Internal Revenue is notified by the taxpayer within 30 days from the date of sale or disposition of his intention to avail of the tax exemption. So, inform mo yung Commissioner of the BIR or the Internal Revenue within 30 days from the sale or disposition yung intention mo to avail of that tax exemption. And letter E, a deposit is made of the 6% capital gains tax withheld by the buyer. Okay, so yung nakabili, siya yung mag-withheld nung 6% capital gains tax mo in cash or manager's check in interest-bearing account with an authorized agent bank, AAB, under an escrow agreement between the taxpayer and the Bureau of Internal Revenue, that the same will be released to the seller when the proceeds of the sale shall have been utilized as intended. So once na-utilize niya na yung proceeds nung sale na yon doon sa pagbenta niya ng property, then saka pa lang i-release sa kanya yung 6% capital gains na which is under escrow. Okay, so and the last one, ito yung importante, no? So the taxpayer can avail of the exemption once only every 10 years. So hindi kada benta niya ng property, halimbawa nagbenta siya 2018, no? Tapos nag-avail siya ng exemption. Tapos 2021, 2022, wala pang 10 years yun, bibenta na naman yung isang property. So hindi na siya makaka-avail ng exemption because it's only once every 10 years. No? So we're going to have an example of that one. So let's take up this example here. Taxpayer is a resident citizen. So yung capital assets niya is the principal residence in the Philippines. So as you can see here, ito, selling price of an old principal residence is 5 million. Yan yung yung proceeds na makukuha niya. Selling price. Cost of the old principal residence is 2 million. Yan yung cost. So may kita natin meron siyang tubo na 3 million. No? Okay, now under this three separate circumstances, no? Unahin muna natin letter A. If the investment of the proceeds of the sale in the acquisition of a new principal residence is zero. In other words, hindi niya ginamit yung hindi niya ginamit pambili ng pag-acquire ng isa pang property. Okay, so if the investment of the proceeds of the sale in the acquisition of a new principal residence is zero, so wala siyang ginamit doon. So pangalawa, if the investment of the proceeds of the sale in the acquisition of a new principal residence is 5 million. So in other words, yung lahat ng proceeds dun sa sale, lahat ng kinita niya doon, ibinili niya ng bahay, no? Pina-acquire niya within 18 months, no? So tingnan natin mamaya. And letter C, if the investment of the proceeds of the sale in the acquisition of the new principal residence is 4 million. So dito partial lang. So hindi yung buong 5 million na yun ginamit niya pambili ng pag-acquire ng property within 18 months. So dito sa B kasi full exemption siya, while dito partial lang. So computing muna natin. So this is letter A. So kung hindi raw ano yan, kung hindi raw ginamit yung proceeds na yun, then 5 million, this is the proceeds of the sale. Okay, so wala namang nakalagay na fair value dyan, so we assume that the selling price is also the fair value. So multiply this by 6%. Okay, so this would be compute. Okay, so this would be 5 billion times, para sigurado tayo. Yan. So 300,000. This would be the capital gains tax. Yan, 300,000. Pagka naman dito sa letter B, ito. Hindi mo na kailangan mag-compute dyan kasi yung buong 5 million ginamit yun doon sa pagbili ng residence, no? O pag-acquire ng residence. So, nag-isip ka pa dyan, zero lang yan, no? Okay. So, wala siyang babayaran ng capital gains. If the investment of the proceeds of the sale of the new principal residence is 4 million, so kukunin lang natin yung proportional sale, no, yung hindi niya nagamit, which is 1 million. Okay, so ito yung unused portion, 1 million. So lagay natin dito unused. Okay, this is the unused portion. Okay, so this would be one unused portion divided by the total proceeds. Total proceeds. Or FMB if that's the case. No? Kung mas mataas yun, times yung the capital gains tax. Okay, so this would be yung unused portion is 1 million. Kasi out of that 5 million, 4 million lang yung ginamit niya doon sa pag-acquire ng property. So may 1 million pa siya na unutilized or unused. So divided by 5 million. Okay, so magkano yung lalabas dyan? So this is yan, so makikita lang kino-compute natin in real time, no? So 1 divided by 5 na lang, so that's 20% times yung 300,000 yung na-compute natin dun sa taas. So times, so this would be 20%. Okay, so 20% yan times 300,000 yung dito. So you will have a tax of 60,000. Yan yung babayaran pa niya. Yung 60,000 na yan. Okay, so yan yung capital gains tax niya na 60,000. So, well, at least nakamura pa rin. Now, ano yung magiging basis ng by the way, yung new principal residence, no? Halimbawa dito, okay, so dito sa na yan, the new principal residence would be 2 million. Okay, yung cost nung ito yung magiging basis ng new principal residence. Ibig sabihin, ito yung naka-value doon. Okay, doon sa bagong residence. Dito naman as far as dito sa letter C is concerned, kukunin lang natin yung proportion. So yung nagamit niya kasi is 4 million divided by 5 million. Okay, so magkaiba ito doon sa capital gains tax. So multiply this by 2 million. Okay, so 2 million is the cost. Okay, that's the cost, no? So, yan, ganyan natin ng konti. So, yan, nagiging anemic na yung so, tignan natin. Let's try blue. Yan. Okay, so 4 million divided by 5 million times 2 million, this is 1.6 million. 1.6 million. So, ito yung magiging basis ng basis of the new principal residence. Okay? Okay, so yeah. Ito naman yung capital gains tax. Capital gains tax. Of course, ito yung basis or new principal residence. New principal residence cost. Yan yung cost niya. Okay? And this is the CGT. So, if you have any questions, just comment. And of course, mag-suggest kayo kung ano yung gusto yung topic na discuss natin. Whether it's tax, accounting, or yung strategic management, no? Any, especially yung financial accounting, alam ko maraming may gustong topics yan, no? Of course, subscribe, share this information if you find it useful. See you. God bless and stay safe.